You don't lose yourself in a single moment. It happens slowly, piece by piece. Every yes you said when your heart whispered no. Every smile you forced when you wanted to cry. Every time you helped others while abandoning your own needs. You began to disappear in the noise of expectations. But silence is your compass back. To find yourself, you must stop being who they need you to be. Pause. Breathe. You're not here to please. You're here to live. Your worth isn't measured by how useful you are to others. It's measured by how true you are to yourself. You can't pour from an empty soul. It's time to refill. It's time to return. You tried to be everything, perfect friend, perfect child, perfect lover. But perfection is just a disguise for fear. Fear of not being enough. Fear of being abandoned when you show your truth. You hid behind kindness, behind strength, behind control. But your soul doesn't want control. It wants authenticity. You can be soft and strong at once. You can be imperfect and divine. The world taught you to perform. Now, your soul is teaching you to be. Take off the masks. You were never meant to impress, only to express. Let your real face breathe again. You'll find peace in your imperfection. The weight you feel isn't just yours. It's the silent burden of every role you played. Helper. Healer. Listener. Protector. You carried emotions that were never meant to be yours. And it exhausted your spirit. But now, release is your act of courage. Let the heavy names fall off your shoulders. You're not what others expect. You're what your heart whispers. Breathe out the guilt. Breathe in your truth. Freedom begins where pretending ends. You owe no one your constant strength. You owe yourself your peace. Once, there was an artist who painted for everyone else. She painted sunsets the way they wanted, brighter, faster, happier. But her own heart longed to paint the storms inside her. Years passed, and her colors faded. One night, she sat in silence, holding a blank canvas. She finally painted, not for them, but for herself. And in that moment, the world fell away. Her art wasn't perfect, but it was alive. And so was she. You, too, must paint your truth again. Even if it's messy, even if no one understands it. Because that's how you find yourself again, by creating what's real. Silence isn't loneliness, it's clarity. When you stop running, the truth catches up to you. In solitude, you meet the parts you abandoned. The inner child. The forgotten dreamer. The tired soul. You learn to listen again. You remember what peace feels like. Solitude doesn't demand isolation, it invites reflection. You can sit alone and feel whole. You can walk slowly and feel complete. Stillness isn't empty, it's sacred. It's where you return to your center. The world rushes, but your soul moves in rhythm. Slow down. Return home, inward. You were taught that saying no is unkind. But boundaries are not walls, they're bridges to peace. When you protect your energy, you protect your light. You teach others how to treat your soul. Boundaries say, I love you, but I love myself too. They are not selfish, they are sacred. Every time you say yes to yourself, you heal. And every time you set a limit, you rise higher. You cannot return to yourself if everyone still has access to your energy. Protect what's sacred. Peace isn't found, it's created through choice. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to exist without guilt. You were taught that saying no is unkind. But boundaries are not walls, they're bridges to peace. When you protect your energy, you protect your light. You teach others how to treat your soul. Boundaries say, I love you, but I love myself too. They are not selfish, they are sacred. Every time you say yes to yourself, you heal. And every time you set a limit, you rise higher. You cannot return to yourself if everyone still has access to your energy. Protect what's sacred. Peace isn't found, it's created through choice. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to exist without guilt. There was a woman who carried a lantern through a dark village. She lit lamps for others every night but forgot to fill her own flame. One evening, her lantern went out. She couldn't see, couldn't walk, couldn't help. Then, in stillness, she realized, she had the spark all along. She lit her own lantern first. And suddenly, her light reached further than ever before. We often forget, you cannot guide anyone from darkness if your own fire is gone. So refill your flame. The world doesn't need your exhaustion, it needs your light. When you start living for yourself again, it feels strange. You'll lose people who only loved your mask. But you'll find peace that feels like home. Returning to yourself isn't selfish, it's sacred rebellion. You are not meant to carry others endlessly. You are meant to rise in your truth. Honor your pace. Honor your feelings. You are not behind, you are becoming. And when you meet your true self again, you'll realize, she was never gone. Just waiting. Waiting for you to listen. Waiting for you to come home. Welcome back. Sit quietly. Feel your breath. Ask yourself, who am I when I stop performing? Listen, the answer is soft, but it's there. You don't need to become. You need to remember. You were never meant to live half alive, serving everyone but your soul. Return to yourself, tenderly, completely. Let go of guilt, fear, and exhaustion. Replace them with love, boundaries, and peace. You are whole. You always were. And now, finally, you remember.